on to you, Gemini. So you have the Page of Swords, the Sun, Five of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Knight of Swords, Five of Swords, the Lovers, the High Priestess, ooh, the Two of Swords, and the Star. So for you, Geminis, Page of Swords. Some of you Geminis in the not so distant past, or past that keeps bringing itself up because either the person won't leave you alone, or the person, you still remember the person. You've, like I said before, you've had to deal with trauma from, or I should say baggage, trauma, same thing, from dealing with these people. But the Sun and the Five of Pentacles represent, so as a result, even though you've had to deal with this, a lot of you Geminis have decided to actually keep on living your life. Life doesn't stop just because these people have an issue with you for whatever it is that they however they delude themselves, right? Now, the Five of Cups and the Knight of Swords now represents this being a situation for you where, I will say this though, a lot of you Geminis are not stopping when it comes to getting to know other people. You're still going to get to know other people, even though you have this stalker that doesn't want to really let you go, periodically pops up. Maybe they aren't even stalking you at all, but the trauma is the point that I'm trying to make. You're still going to push through the trauma, and you're still going to get to know other people, even though you've been through some things. And so now the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Swords represents the type of people that you want to meet are these types, which is they're either air signs themselves, even if they're not air signs. The Ace of Cups, they're making you a very serious offer. It's big for you because it may be serious. Now the Knight of Swords represents this being a situation where but it's also a very serious situation. They like you. They want to actually get to know you, especially if they're not bugging, especially if they're not wild, if they're not delusional and running game themselves, and they're very down to earth. They really do like you, and they don't turn into a stalker, right? Then that's the type of people that you want, right? The Five of Swords though, and the Lovers represents, there may be some doubt when it comes to you Geminis, because you may perceive all relationships with somebody else's as being a total flop, meaning that you may not see the point of any kind of relationships right now, even though even though you may want one. You may want someone that's charming, suave, debonair, you know what I mean, to come through and say what's up to you. You Geminis may be very much so cautious of that very same thing, because you may be looking at it from a perspective of, well, what if they come in and they charm you and they end up leaving you alone, just out of nowhere, in a twinkling of an eye, leave you alone? Or what if they do this? What if they do that? Listen, and then you have the Lovers, and the Lovers represents Gemini. So you did show up in your own reading. So this very much so, this very much so speaks to how a lot of you Geminis ultimately won't love. You want to be in a relationship with somebody that's real. You want that. And it's possible for you to get it, but that's not what it is that a lot of you Geminis are thinking. A lot of you Geminis are starting to kind of even lose sight of that. Like, oh, what if real love isn't real? No, trust me, real love is real. It is. Because, me being who I am, you know what I mean? Me being who I am, the women who I speak to actually like. But the problem with them is, for the most part, a lot of times they be bugging. for whatever reason. You know, like I said before, have I done some things from the past? Yes, I have. But a lot of that stuff, it wasn't, probably like 2 things I probably done that from the past that was really terrible. But other than that, the rest of the stuff, it wasn't really so. It wasn't bad at all. They was just trying to blame that type of stuff on me, as usual, right? So, but most of the stuff that most of the stuff that happened was them trying to inflict that type of baggage onto me, that type of dysfunction onto me. You know what I mean? You know, some of the people that I was dating wanted me to kind of cut my wrists and bleed and all this other type of nonsense. And I did that in the past. That was way back. That was probably like way back in 2003, 2004. And I put tattoos over it now, right? Y'all can't see that, but I got some scars on my my forearms and my wrists. But the point is that the lovers is about how it exists. Real love exists, but the thing is that number one is your mentality. A lot of you Geminis really don't perceive love as existing because y'all don't, right now, y'all want it, but y'all are not really willing to put yourselves out there for a chance to even find the real thing. And I'm here to tell you, Geminis, if that's what it is that you're going to be on, you need to quit, because finding love, the real thing, is going to be a risk. You have to see, and let me explain to you something. This is the reason why it is that I try to get y'all to understand in my readings, right? Regardless of if you're cross-watching, regardless of if you're reading for your particular sign, whatever the case may be, part of the reason why it is that I tell y'all you got to get to a point where you stop taking things so personally is so that is one of the reasons why it's on some Mr. Miyagi type stuff. Is because of this. It's because of that same reason. So when you are out here and you're dating other people, when people turn out to be frauds, you're not so invested and so caught up in it to the point where it's like, oh, is this thing? You know how to actually let it go when it's time for you to let it go, and you're not taking things so personally. But the High Priestess now represents, a lot of you Geminis may be looking at it from a perspective of, you're just really dark right now. You're in your darker Gemini nature, where it's paranoid, untrusting, thinking too much about what love has got, what love, where is love going to take you, and the trouble that it's put you in. And again, the Two of Swords and because of it, it's made you very combative when it comes to interacting with other people. Even when it comes to people, let me tell you something. You Geminis have to learn to get over this, because even when it comes to you getting to know other people, I'm letting you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna squander the interaction between yourselves and the other person. You will squander it. And the reason why I'm saying that you will squander it is because what happens when you approach somebody from that perspective? You're going to come off as a very dysfunctional individual. And you don't, and Gemini's approach is not smooth already, even though it works normally. You don't want to make it even more unusual or awkward to the point where it now becomes a turn off. Because see, at least with the Gemini approach, even though your approach is not smooth one bit, may I add, and it's kind of corny, it works and it's charming and people still like it, right? That's the thing that matters. Regardless of whether it's cool or whether it's corny, that's the thing that matters. Does it get does it get your foot in the door? Do people still want to hear what you have to say? Can you still, can you keep talking to this person? If it works, great. Regardless of how corny it is. If it doesn't, who cares? You understand what I'm saying? Who cares? Either try it with somebody else or pay attention to your approach and change it, right? So that in a way where it can work, and then test out that approach and see what happens. But you don't want to come off so awkward, right? Which is not even charming for a Gemini. And then the thing about it is, the star card now represents, so what you Gemini should be thinking about right now, I'm not saying that you're not going to meet someone new, but what you Gemini should be thinking about right now is healing. Because the star card is about you Geminis are going to take the time out to actually do just that, to heal, to find out what's going on with you, to take time out by yourselves and to really heal. I'm proud of y'all. Now let's clarify the star. You have the King of Pentacles, the Moon, the Nine of Swords, and the Ace of Cups, right? So this is about how a lot of you Geminis, to clarify the star card, the King of Pentacles and the Moon, up, proves my point. Because what does the Moon also represent? Not just being in your emotional state, but what does the Moon represent? It also represents ghosting, discommunicating or excommunicating yourselves from other people. And the star card represents, this is what it is that a lot of you Geminis probably were planning on doing anyway, because you realize that you have to offer something better than just emotional baggage. Very good. And because of the self-awareness that you Geminis have, you're going to take the time out if you're not already doing that. So now the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Cups, because you can actually get to the type of love, you can actually start being socially acceptable and accepting. In other words, you're going to start being more socially inclined and a social light, the real definition of a social light, not the perverted version of what a socialite is. Because a socialite is a person that knows how to interact or be social with other people, regardless of wherever they are, how much money they make. People can relate to them and they can relate to others in a real way. That's what a real socialite is. It even has the name social in the word. But the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Cups is about how, since this is the case, a lot of you right now understand that where you are, you're going to more so kind of try to rip the other person's head off than you were to actually know how to engage or interact with the other person. So a lot of you Geminis, if you're not already doing it, you will be taking some time off. And I suggest that you take at least a month, maybe even 2 months off, to really understand where it is that you are in the world and understand what emotional baggage you need to get over. And then when you get over it, begin now speaking to other people, so that when you approach people, you don't automatically, especially people who can see, who has that level of awareness where they know how to flirt, talk to people and see what's going on and stuff like this. It's not like, this Gemini's got some serious baggage that they got going on, don't they? Oh, wow, okay. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Trying to make my YouTube channel grow to 10,000 subscribers by the end of June. Right now, we're coming up on 6,900 subscribers. Y'all are absolutely amazing. I can't thank y'all enough. Smash the subscribe button, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and set that notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop my videos.